Back in the boardroom, Molly Ademole turned on Segun Balogun. You think you are safe?
I will burn this company to the ground
before I let her take it. Then you'll be burning Tiwa's 50% too, wouldn't you? Segun Balogun remarked as he gathered his papers. Careful, Molly. Your greed is starting to show. Molly Ademola's defense was crumbling in real time. The boardroom, once her playground of manipulation, had turned into a courtroom where she was the prime suspect. I actually thought she was gone for good. I didn't, Molly stammered, her voice thin and reedy. Her lawyers looked at their shoes. The sheer frequency of her stutters was an admission of guilt. Attorney Austin, the veteran attorney, wasn't moved. Miss Ademola, the day you told me Teniola was in exile, you didn't stammer once. You claimed she left a will transferring everything to Tiwa. I asked for that will for years and you never produced it. If I hadn't insisted on seeing that document before filing the changes, I would have scrubbed Teniola's name from this company entirely. Why didn't you inform me the moment she returned? Molly looked paralyzed. The secret she had buried under layers of lies was now an open scandal. Tiwa looked away, cursing her own past laziness. If she had just forced the documents from Segun Balogun months ago, they could have burned the evidence. Now, Segun was their demon, a man who had sold them out for the price of a clear conscience. Final conclusion? Attorney Austin asked, checking his watch. Segun Balogun remains the president, Teniola declared firmly. Austin turned to Tiwa. As the 50% partner, do you have any legal reason to object? Tiwa's throat felt dry. For now, no. Then the verdict stands, Attorney Austin declared, closing his leather folio. This meeting is adjourned. The open threat. As the room cleared, Teniola beckoned one of the Dantata bodyguards. Go to the technical department. I want the full surveillance footage and audio of this meeting immediately, she whispered. She then turned to the defeated mother and daughter. Molly Ademole's face was a mask of pure hatred. You think you won? You didn't, Molly hissed, pointing a trembling finger at Teniola. I will ruin you. You, Teniola. I will make you suffer so much that your children won't see a grain of rice for days. The room went cold. Tiwa gasped, realizing the gravity of her mother's mistake. Someone seize this woman and call the police, Teniola ordered, her voice calm but deadly. Segun Balogun didn't hesitate. He buzzed security. Within minutes, several guards entered and restrained Molly. Take her to the station, Teniola instructed. Record her statement. If anything happens to me, my sons, or even Mr. Segun, Molly Ademole is to be held primary suspect for premeditated harm. Molly was dragged out, screaming obscenities, with a humiliated Tiwa trailing behind her. Outside in the hallway, the employees scrambled to look busy, but their eyes followed Teniola with awe. She had walked into the lion's den and come out with the lion's names in her hand. Once inside the Mercedes, Teniola let out a long, shaky breath. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Zayn. I watched the feed. You handled the seating arrangements perfectly. Come to the office. I have a surprise for you. Teniola smiled. She had played her part, but the real game was just beginning. She had kept Segun Balogun in power, not out of mercy, but because he was the perfect lightning rod for Molly's fury, while she and Zayn systematically stripped the Ademole women of their remaining influence. Meanwhile, Teniola returned to the Dantata Empire headquarters, but peace was not waiting for her there. As she entered Zayn's office, the air was vibrating with the force of an argument. I won't let you play God with someone else's life, Zayn was shouting as Teniola slipped into a chair. Divorce her after the bath if you must, but you will marry Amaya and give that child the Dantata name. Zubie paced the floor like a caged animal. I don't blame you, Zayn. You sit here in your ivory tower while two kids fall into your lap without you lifting a finger. Why haven't you put a ring on Teniola's finger? You have a saint by your side and you want me to marry a woman who trapped me? Do not compare Teniola to your flings, Zayn thundered, his eyes flashing dangerously. You enjoyed the act, now take the responsibility. You won't even listen to Dad, Zubie countered. You are obsessed with this Dantata blood thing. I'm not even sure the child is mine. If you have another way to ensure Rita keeps the pregnancy without a marriage certificate, let me hear it, Zayn challenged. Otherwise, shut up. You aren't even married yourself, Zubie yelled, his hands deep in his pockets. You are Teniola's first. Her kids are your carbon copies. Why should I be the one to trap myself first?
Zubie, get out!
Zayn bellowed, the sound so loud it rattled the glass windows. Zubie turned on his heel, fuming. As he reached the door, Zayn's voice dropped to a terrifying low vibration. If you bring this up again, I swear by my grandfather's grief, I will deal with you. The door slammed shut. Zayn slumped into his chair, rubbing his temples, while Teniola watched him, realizing that the walls in the boardroom were nothing compared to the walls of the heart. Zubie stood in the doorway of Zayn's office, the silence stretching between the two brothers like an unbridgeable canyon, and the Lord demanded a Dantata wedding. Without another word, Zubie turned on his heel and retreated to his own office, the heavy mahogany door clicking shut with a finality that echoed in his chest. Zayn stared at the closed door, his jaw tight. Teniola watched the tension radiating from his shoulders. She stood up softly, intending to give him space. I'll check on you later, Zayn, she murmured, heading for the door. Where are you going? Zayn's voice was low, stripping away the authoritative roar he had used on Zubie. He tapped his thigh. Come sit here. Teniola obeyed, settling onto his lap. He pulled her into a firm embrace, resting his forehead against hers. How did it go at the Ademole headquarters?
The beggar stays in the seat, Teniola replied with a small smirk. Tiwa is filing for divorce, and Segun, well, he's convinced he can win me back. He thinks he's going to marry me and reclaim the company. Will you let him take me away, Mr. Dantata? Zayn chuckled, a dark, possessive sound. He can marry you. In his dreams, perhaps, or in the hell I'm building for him. He nicked at her earlobe. Let him play his games. Once the divorce is finalized, Tiwa's 50% ownership will be split. Under the laws of the company your father wrote, a divorced spouse can claim half of the marital shares. Segun will take 25%, Tiwa will keep 25%, and you, with your 50%, will hold the ultimate power. They will end up begging you for a desk in the lobby.
Teniola shivered at the cold precision of his plan. You're terrifying, you know that? Only to those who hurt what is mine, Zayn whispered, pulling her into a deep, hungry kiss that made the boardroom politics feel a lifetime away. While Teniola found sanctuary in Zayn's arms, Rosa was wandering through a desert of silence. Dr. Lanre had stopped answering her calls. 2 days of radio silence had left her nerves frayed. She drove to his apartment, ready to apologize, ready to explain that her no that night wasn't a rejection of him, but a fear of the intensity of her own feelings. But when she arrived, the building manager gave her the news like a slap to the face. Lanre had relocated the day before.
Relocated? Without a word?
Desperate, she drove to the hospital. As she stepped out of her car, she saw him. Lanre was walking toward the parking lot, laughing. Not a polite chuckle, but a genuine, hysterical laugh. He was holding the hand of a young, beautiful woman in a lab coat. Rosa froze. The air left her lungs. Lanre spotted her, his laughter dying instantly. He leaned in, whispered something to the woman, and motioned for her to wait in the car. Hello, Rosa, Lanre said. his face a mask of indifference. He made a move to touch her arm, but she flinched away. "You haven't been answering, and you moved," Rosa stated, her voice trembling.
"Yes," Lanre replied. "Just one syllable. No explanation. No I'm sorry." "You didn't think I deserved to know where my boyfriend was living?"
"Is there anything else you want to ask?" Lanre's tone was clinical, as if he were delivering a terminal diagnosis. Rosa's eyes filled with hot, stinging tears. She realized he was punishing her. He was showing her exactly what life looked like without his warmth. "Nothing," she choked out. "I'm sorry to have stopped by." She turned and ran to her car, refusing to let him see her break. Lanre watched her go, a pang of guilt hitting his chest, but he forced himself to get into his car. "Who was that doctor?" the woman in his passenger seat asked curiously. "My girlfriend," Lanre muttered, the word tasting like ash. "We have a misunderstanding." Inside her car, Rosa's grief turned into a cold, hard resolve. Lanre had changed. If he could hold another woman's hand and move house in secret just to hurt her, then the man she loved was already gone. She parked outside the Dantata building and pulled out her phone. Her fingers shook as she typed a message. "Lanre, I see now that my no cost me everything. You've moved on, and I won't be the ghost haunting your new life. I hope she gives you the yes you wanted so badly. Goodbye." She didn't wait for a reply. She took the elevator to Teniola's office. The moment she saw her friend, the dam broke. Rosa collapsed onto the sofa, sobbing into her hands. Teniola was by her side in an instant, holding her tight. "Rosa, what happened? Is it your mom?" In the doorway, Zayn appeared, intending to see Teniola, but seeing the raw grief in the room, he silently withdrew, closing the door to give them privacy. Miles away, Lanre sat in a restaurant, the beautiful doctor chatting across from him. His phone buzzed on the table. He picked it up, expecting an apology. He read the message twice, his face going pale. "Doctor, is everything okay?" Larry didn't answer. He stared at the word goodbye, realizing that in his attempt to punish Rosa, he might have just executed their relationship. The message on Dr. Lanre's screen felt like a jagged blade. Rosa had told him not to come after her, effectively ending years of history with a single text. Beside him in the restaurant, Chichi, the medical intern assigned to him, shifted uncomfortably. She had sensed the sudden drop in temperature. "Is anything the matter, doctor?" she asked softly. Lanre forced a smile, though it didn't reach his eyes. "Nothing to be concerned about," he replied. He played the part of the mentor, treating her to the promised lunch as a reward for her hard work. 2 days ago, Lanre had been promoted to a double position, senior surgeon and head of department, thanks to a silent push from Zayn Dantata. While some whispered about godfatherism, others knew Lanre's skill was unmatched. He had intended to celebrate this milestone with Rosa, but her message suggested she had already replaced him in her mind with a new woman. The exaggerated heartbreak. In the Dantata Empire offices, Teniola held a sobbing Rosa. Between gasps, Rosa laid out her grievances. She admitted she was wrong to refuse him without explanation that night, but his subsequent behavior had been cruel. "He relocated without telling me, Teniola. And then I saw him at the hospital, holding and caressing another woman openly. I've never seen him so happy," Rosa sobbed, her words painted with the vivid colors of a jealous imagination. "He probably just wanted to sleep with me before dumping me, like my ex did. I'm glad I said no. At least I kept my dignity." Teniola listened, her heart aching for her friend, but her mind remained sharp. She knew Lanre. "Why did you refuse him that night, truly?" "I lost my purity to my ex," Rosa whispered. "I haven't told Lanre, I didn't want him to find out while he was inside me. I wanted to explain first.
Teniola sighed, squeezing Rosa's hands. You are wrong, Rosa. You should have told him then. Lanre isn't a playboy. He's a doctor who barely has time for sleep, let alone a harem. He probably moved because of his promotion. Zayn helped him get a senior role. Go home and wait. I'll talk to him. He loves you. The final bridge burnt. Rosa left feeling slightly pacified until she saw the 2 messages Lanre had sent in response to her breakup text. The first asked if she was crazy. The second asked if she fell out of love that easily. In a fit of temper, she called him. The moment he answered, she let out a torrent of vitriol. You are no different from any other lover boy, shamelessly romantic with another woman before even breaking up with me. I don't like cheap men who are men whores. I'm done with you, Lanre. Glad I didn't let you sleep with me. Lanre stood in the hospital parking lot, the phone feeling hot against his ear. Are you calling me a whore because I asked for sex, Rosa? His voice was dangerously quiet. That's exactly what you are. Lanre hung up. He couldn't take another word. To be described as cheap by the woman he intended to marry was a wound that wouldn't heal. He felt weak, his legs like lead as he walked toward his car. When Teniola called him a few minutes later, he masked his grief with a hollow chuckle. Rosa came to see me? Teniola asked. Everything is settled, Teniola. Lanre lied, his eyes fixed on the horizon. Everything is back to the way it should be. Teniola, hearing the settled tone, assumed they had reconciled. Good. I was worried. Give my regards to Zayn when you see him. As the line went dead, Lanre gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. He was a senior surgeon now. He was a man of the Dantata circle. He wouldn't allow himself to be reduced to a straw-back fellow over a woman who thought so little of his character. He started the ignition, leaving the ghost of Rosa in the rearview mirror. Zubie's voice was as cold as a harmattan wind when he called Rita that evening. They met at their usual restaurant, but the warmth of their previous encounters had vanished. Zubie didn't even bother to order, watching with a stone-cold face as Rita sat across from him. I must applaud your smartness, Zubie stated, his gaze filled with hostility. You won over Teniola, and now I have no option but to marry you. But understand this, you will have my name and birth my child, but you will never have my heart, my love, or my body. Do not interfere in my life. He gave her a sharp ultimatum to meet him at the bureau at noon the next day and walked out before she could even take a sip of her drink. That same night, Dr. Lanre sought solace in a bottle. He was the new senior surgeon, a position earned through hard work and the influence of Zayn Dantata, but his personal life was in shambles. When he failed to answer his phone, a colleague and intern, Nancy, became concerned and drove to his new apartment. When Lanre finally opened the door, his eyes were bloodshot and his mind was clouded by alcohol. In his drunken state, he didn't see Nancy, he saw Rosa. He pulled her inside, locking the door behind them. The act, hallucinating that he was with the woman who had called him a whore earlier that day, Lanre was determined to punish her. The confusion. He was surprised that Rosa wasn't stiff or resistant. Instead, Nancy was helping him unbuckle his clothes, eager for the encounter. The reality. They ended up in the bedroom, engaging in a heated, unprotected encounter. Lanre thought he was finally taking what Rosa had denied him, unaware that he was with a colleague. The morning after, Lanre woke up the next morning with a crushing hangover. As he yawned and reached out, he realized with horror that the woman beside him was not Rosa. Nancy, he gasped, seeing her naked under the quilt.
Good morning, Dr. Lanre. Nancy smiled, completely unfazed. When Lanre asked how she got there, she laughed. You should have asked that before you drove into me. You are crazy, stronger than I thought. Lanre was speechless, his mind racing to find where the hallucination ended and the nightmare began. Nancy, known in the clinic for her loose reputation, made it clear this wasn't a one-time event. I'll be coming over tonight, oh Lanre. I haven't had enough of you yet, she said, blowing him a kiss before heading to the bathroom. Lanre sat on the edge of the bed, his head in his hands. He had bitten off more than he could chew. By trying to forget Rosa, he had tethered himself to a woman who would surely demand more than he was ever willing to give. An hour after his unsettling night, Dr. Lanre arrived at the hospital. He was scheduled to lead a major surgery, and despite his pounding headache, his professional discipline took over. Nancy, the intern he had hallucinated was Rosa, was supposed to be on his surgical team, but she was nowhere to be found when the red in-surgery light flickered on. When the successful surgery ended, Lanre retreated to his office, only for Nancy to barge in without knocking. She lacked any sense of remorse. My body was sore, she said flippantly, leaning against his desk. I had a night-long marathon of lovemaking. Lanre's gaze was cold. Your private life must not interfere with your work. Next time, you will explain this to the medical director. Nancy only smirked. I want this to continue, doctor. I'm not asking for a relationship, just to be your bedmate. Lanre's temper flared. Have you no shame? Everyone in this clinic knows your reputation, opening yourself to patients on hospital beds. I was drunk and hallucinating last night. I thought you were my girlfriend. It was a mistake I will never repeat. Get out. And pray you don't come back in a few weeks claiming you are pregnant. As she sneered and left, Lanre reached for antibiotics, terrified of what he might have contracted from such a filthy encounter. At exactly 11:58 a.m., Zubie Dantata arrived at the government bureau. Rita was already there, radiant in a floral gown and professional makeup, looking every bit the hopeful bride. Zubie, however, wore a stone-cold expression. The ceremony was clinical and devoid of joy. The exchange, Zubie slipped a ring onto her finger with a poker face, and she returned the gesture. The signing, a marriage certificate was issued, officially making them husband and wife. The departure. The moment they stepped outside, Zubie walked so briskly with his long legs that the pregnant Rita struggled to keep up. Zubie, wait! I can't walk this fast, she pleaded, thinking of the baby. Zubie didn't even look back. What does my walking have to do with you? We didn't come together. Take your own route home. He climbed into his car and ordered his chauffeur to drive, leaving his new wife standing on the pavement in tears. Rita eventually took a taxi to the Dantata mansion. While the servants recognized her as the second master's woman, the elderly headmaid, Mama Rosa, did not lead her to the master suite. Instead, Rita was settled into a secondary bedroom next to the nursery.